Hello, and welcome to another episode of Power On Podcast, all of the Bebops edition. And this is the last episode of the season of the episodes. Still have a movie I'll do afterwards, but this is it. We're going to clump episodes 25 and 26 together. So the Riffle Blues Part 1 and Part 2. I am one of your hosts, Taylor, and with me is the one who endeavors to just do the thing, Mr. Sushi B. How you be?
Very, I don't know. I don't know what that was, but sure. I endeavor to do the thing, apparently. The thing, whatever the thing is, whatever you want the thing to be.
Dun dun dun.
I'm hanging in there pretty good. This is kind of that bittersweet moment, right, of reaching basically the end at this point. I know we've got the movie to go, but the proper series ending, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of snuck up on us quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Especially since our last handful of recordings. I remember telling you, it's just like, oh, geez, I didn't realize we were kind of a little further ahead than I anticipated being. It just kind of crept up quick near the end part there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's really much else to say. I guess let's dive into it there. What are some things you like about these two episodes?
I'm going to do my best to try to clump it together because I do have the notes written on separate sections here just because, as you're watching them. Mm-hmm. I definitely noticed a increased quality in the animation. A lot of it, at least. It seemed like a lot of attention was given to the final two episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Just in a lot of the details in the art style and everything from the handguns and just a lot of it. I just noticed it looked pretty cleaned up.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see where you're going with it, that where there's just a bit more focus on making sure the details are a bit cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say the overall tone as well of the two episodes. It really I don't want to say like shocks you into it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very abrupt slap in the face back to the vibes of episode 1 and 2.
Mm.
And I kind of like that. In certain ways, I don't like it. In other ways, I don't like it more on a personal level than like in the sense of they're just kind of sliding back into it, like like Jet complaining to Spike about, oh, now I know why you don't like women and kids and pets and stuff.
Right.
And it's like, oh, you guys have kind of fallen back down from where you guys were.
Mm-hmm.
Tisk tisk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking between the sets of stuff I wrote down.
Mm.
I like that there definitely has a nice finite sense of closure here. I mean, I know you could probably tell more stories with some of these characters, or want to know more of what's after this conclusion. Mm-hmm. But I do feel there's enough of a sense of, yeah, it's done, right? This section of these characters' lives are now concluded at this point, and wherever they head off is, I'm good with wherever they might go, and I'm also good with not having more sense of what that looks like for them.
Mm. Yeah, they're just not very happy.
No, it isn't, but I don't know why I still think it's enough of a closure here where sometimes movies, shows, they end on that really dour note, right? Or shock ending or what have you. And there's definitely a sense of that here, but I'm fine with it. That it doesn't I don't know. I'm sure there's probably people that feel differently, especially for one of those characters where they want to know ultimately did this pan out one way or the other, because it is left a bit ambiguous.
Yes and no. I mean, it's pretty...
yes, I think it's pretty definitive, but I can see where if they were to continue on, you'd be like, oh, okay, sure.
Some very strong wishful thinking, but in the same hand, I mean, and I'll save this maybe for a little later into this about the spiel with Spike and Vicious, their show.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm talking like that, but anyways, there's I think something very maybe it's something I noticed this time around that I just didn't really think of, or maybe it's just me overthinking it. There is certainly a finality to it, and which is nice and appreciated. That there isn't we're gonna do the thing and
sneak in another episode in 10 years time or something like this.
I mean,
they sort of do with the movie, but
right.
Sure, but to think, oh yeah, because we've seen this with other projects, right, where you suddenly get a sequel to Dumb and Dumber, whatever, 20 years later or something like that. Right.
I mean, in a way, they kind of cheated and did that with I can't remember what it was called, something in Judy, where it takes place in the same, like, on Mars and stuff, and it's like these two girls trying to form a band or like make accomplish their dreams of, like, playing music and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And what it's related to? Cowboy Bebop?
It's the same guy, same creators and stuff, and it takes place, I think, in Tharsa City or at least somewhere on Mars. But it's completely. I don't remember exactly when it's supposed to be taking place or whatnot, but it's very different, and just tangentially.
Okay, I've not heard of that.
So I've heard it's a pretty decent show. So,
okay.
But the finality of it and just how, you see what happens with them. I mean, you've got the sadness all around. There's, to borrow a line and paraphrase it, it is a very poopy sandwich and everybody's taking a bite.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of these interactions. Jet's character in particular has some very interesting ways he goes about doing things. Because he has done this repeatedly throughout the episodes that deal with Spike's past and whatnot, that he's kind of been like, it's your past, you got to take care of it kind of thing. And then there's that really good, and I like it a lot, that interaction between Jet and Faye. Where
in 25?
Yeah, I think it's in 25. No, it's in 26. It's in episode 26, where she's like, "You're the one that told him to go to go find his lady."
Right.
And then he's like, "My leg's wrecked, my ship's busted."
Yeah.
Hell yes. He's nothing
but trouble.
Nothing but trouble, and I don't give a damn.
Right.
But he's got that. He's got just the. He gives the story of good old Mount Kilimanjaro.
Right.
So, which I'm like, I know that story from somewhere. But he's just he certainly. As much as progress as he may have made for himself personally, on a level of trying to be like a friend, feels like there are still some strong failings. So
you could see that. I think for me also another positive, I feel a lot of the action was handled well in both episodes. There's a lot of good excitement as you're watching them, and I just found them pretty engaging and engrossing. I really liked the battle sequences. I know you could probably say that was that episode 5 is Ballad of Fallen Angels. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That sequence at the end of that episode does mirror a lot of the sequence here at the end of episode 26.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could kind of be like, it's just kind of a bit more of the same for sure. Like I could see
similar,
that, but
similar vibes. Yeah,
very much so. And yeah, even just, sorry, again, if I'm recalling when we talked about episode 5, just that the recklessness of Spike, just kind of just running in. Of course, there's a lot stronger reasons in this final episode for being so.
Is it stronger reasons though, or is it him just
for
being
him,
an idiot?
Well, yeah, he's an idiot, but like for him, that is. I feel like they're even stronger here than say episode 5 though, where he's even seemed a bit more careless. But for him, at this point, he thinks there's nothing else worth going for at this point. So, shoot your shot kind of thing. Just lay it all on the table and, what does he say early? Whatever happens. He's back to that really carefree attitude.
Oh no, he's going there to find out if he's really alive.
He's going to find out pretty darn fast.
I will say that I love that quote unquote version of the Real Folk Blues. I can't remember the title off the top of my head.
Yeah,
that's
good.
That's such a great version. I'm going to find it because it's going to bother me.
It's just a bit more of a slower version. It kind of mixes in a little bit of that music box sound a little bit. It's just sort of all of the cues of when the lyrics come in and stuff between the explosions. And it's definitely overlaid well with the sequencing. The real slow folk blues.
No. I think it's called "See You Space Cowboy," but but no, I was gonna say from the get go of the start of it where he kicks the grenade, it's a pretty big, strong. It's like, all right, jerks.
Right.
This is where we're at.
Right. Definitely plays into a kind of traditional Western style too, right? With the lone gunman coming in, or lone gunslinger coming in and facing off against insurmountable odds. Seemingly gets at least some sort of damage, right? Shot in the shoulder, shot in the thigh, whatever. So very much mirrors a lot of those old Westerns.
Oh, what's the one that it's like, what would have happened with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid had that ending gone a little further?
No, it wouldn't have gone well.
Well, right. What I'm saying, they decided to be like, cut.
Yeah. Oh, it was a smart cut for sure.
Oh yeah,
that iconic image, right? Of
it's sort of like, oh man, this is what's gonna happen, but come on.
I know a lot of people like that movie, but when you look at like top Westerns and stuff, it doesn't seem to make the list very often. I think it's kind of underrated in that regard. I think people are looking for a little bit different style,
a little bit more
and action and stuff. Yeah, and it's not quite as gritty. It is definitely a little more fantasized and like a little more lighthearted in some ways. Yeah. But it's an interesting story. Them escaping, and where did they go? Is it somewhere in South America? Wasn't it?
Mexico.
Is it just Mexico?
Well, I know it's at the end. They might have went down to like Colombia or something.
Something like that, right? For the last like 20 some odd or 30 minutes or whatever. And that whole train sequence when they blow up the train. I can't remember the whole story, but somebody got like seriously injured because they really did blow up the train and they had gold on it, and it's pretty fascinating. Like all these old movies, right? Remember when we were doing Bond, right? And you're talking about some of those stunt guys like on Octopussy.
Yeah, like an Octopussy.
Yeah, stuff like that. So it's just crazy to think how filmmaking, at least from a safety perspective, has changed. But even still today, there was what was that Alec Baldwin movie, right? Where there was still an injury on set, a death on set actually, and so stuff can still happen. But it seems now, I think the safety aspect probably is a higher attention to it, I suppose. right? Like, and the ability to use CG and not put people in as risky positions and things like that.
Right. You lose something in that, though.
Of course.
That's why, like when you do have the actors, or even just stunt double, like look at Tom Cruise doing all those crazy stunts and stuff,
right. Taking months to plan it out, and
right.
Yeah, for sure. Like Jackie Chan, all this, like, I know you haven't, or, have limited experience, but like all the Indiana Jones stuff was all done, right? Guys jumping on tanks from riding horses and just all kinds of crazy stuff.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, it's all real. Like there's the one where he's in the front of the moving truck that has the arc, and then he has to let himself drop and like let the truck drive over top of him and catch the whip that pulls him. Like you've probably seen that one shot of him being dragged by the truck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and there's that. It's pretty crazy.
Goodness. So, to kind of shift back into these two episodes here, to piggyback off of the fighting stuff, there's the dog fight as well at the end of episode 25, which is pretty, because it's being spliced with other stuff going on, but you can tell that the Bebop's not having a good time with it. Spike's certainly struggling. Faye's doing the best she can with limited resources. I actually like that dog fight a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So,
I mean, a good mix of that with gunplay, and it's nice that they didn't kind of forget the space aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Vicious that's when you would think that you would have gotten rid of that bird. That's one thing that irks me to no end.
Like shot it or something?
You stop the coup. You've imprisoned Vicious, and then Vicious leaves that snarky comment about a serpent's venom poisons solely, and then there's, oh, you guys forgot about the goofy looking bird thing that just flew off. Come on now.
Well, yeah. I mean, the sort of the whole element. Yeah, we'll get to negatives, I guess, at some point. Just trying to think what else. If you got something,
I was gonna say, there's a lot more of a focus on just the violence that is going on and the repercussions of that violence.
Mm-hmm.
It more so with like Jet's injury.
Mm-hmm.
He has that. There are, and I think that's kind of plays into I guess a double meaning in that, like, this is going to linger for him for a while. Just this whole thing, especially with Spike and everything. But that you have Annie who gets gut shot.
Right. That just kind of feels a little shoehorned in there.
Oh, why they would even go over there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, kind of just like, hey, I mean, I figure it's because Spike's wanting to check on her after everything else that's gone on.
Mm-hmm.
We do get to see some shotgun action. We don't get to see a lot of shotgun.
No, it's true.
He's putting that shotgun to good use.
Yeah, that one guy.
And getting some long range use out of it, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, one guy walks in and gets pelted pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Dude are on the stairs, and then the guy at the car across the street.
Yeah.
Getting no-scoped by a shotty.
Yeah. I think that, as you said earlier, I like that there's a good focus on how they're using the action. If I go back to some of those episodes where what was the episode that was just like all chasing? Was that just the...
Well, there's a few. About episode 2?
Well, episode 2 has, and then there's a couple others where just like long chase sequences, right? Or lots of additional parts to the chase sequence. Mm-hmm. And I think they struck a good balance here of, okay, we're going to have some stuff, right? When you have Faye in the car and so forth. And even the dogfight battle, sort of, to a degree, right? Because the Bebop's involved. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's just enough sprinkled in I guess, for my tastes on that.
Mm-hmm.
I know Faye's pretty good with the handling a weapon, but it might be a little bit much though that she's like blowing out tires in single shots with ease.
Yeah, I mean, but it's nice that she has the showing her with the competency again
For sure.
after having some very strong losing hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just it's I don't know. I also like the addition of having Alfredo pop up, or as we affectionately know him as Punch from the now canceled Big Shot. It's I don't necessarily like the Faye comment of like, so she said something like, "Oh, guy seems familiar" or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you watched Big Shot, you don't recognize him. But no, it was nice because that didn't need to be in there whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
At all. There was no need to have that in there, but it was just kind of nice to see something outside of that, but also just a little bit of a more of a normal aspect of life as opposed to the fringes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially also seeing Alfredo being a nice guy and helping his mother out. Good on him.
That's fair.
Well, I mean, seriously, there doesn't seem to be a lot of sweet people.
No, not a lot of people getting
like a really
wins.
swell guy.
Yeah, not a lot getting a decent life out of this world.
Mm.
And even he didn't, right? He kind of he got basically fired off of his show. So
right, yeah, he gets fired, and his mother's worried about he's fine. He's like, "Don't worry about it, I'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be fine." So that's I don't know. It's
what was the
nice
female on Big Shot's name? Why am I?
I just know her as Judy. I don't think
Judy.
Yeah,
Punch and Judy. That sounds right.
Well, yeah. I don't think I don't think they gave her a different name.
I don't think so.
But congrats on getting married to your agent, I guess. And I like how just so I think she's marrying her agent or something. That was it. There was no not a lot else to it. He's just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Something else I do have is that one brief little bit there in episode 25 where he gets a call. Jack gets a call, and it's like, "Hey, glad you're not dead.
Yep.
Get out of here." Because it's an interesting sign to have at the very beginning of the series where there's this strong presence of the police force really, really stamping out just a small little person, quote unquote, this character. Oh, wait, now hold on, time out. He screwed over a syndicate. Perhaps that might be part of the reason why they're really, really making an effort of it.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, well, the syndicates, they're after blood, and they're using a big old knife to bloodlet.
Right.
We can't do nothing.
A big sword.
Right.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, I think if anything, it highlights either how absolutely corrupted that all is, to where even if we wanted to do something, we couldn't, or just showing how strong these syndicates, despite all of their infighting, has still just kind of made this complete mess. and then goodness knows what what sort of absolute trouble is now going to befall it with the power vacuum that's created from that.
Right. Maybe Bob will take over.
Yes. He will have his empire of titty mags to...
Well, that's just his first order of business is to put a dirty magazine in every single house or every mailbox. Maybe Punch will take over.
It was all a facade.
Yeah. Alfredo, he looks like such a nice guy taking care of his old mother and then working in the dark underbelly of the universe. We get Sitting Bull again as well.
Yes. I actually really like that scene.
Yeah, it's another kind of callback, like you said, a bit of that, I don't know if it's closure, but the circular motion that the show kind of tries to come back to. So it's appropriate to bring the character back.
Well, that and also how how do I want to put this? Just how much Jet doesn't want to hear it.
Right.
He's just like, why am I here? That's not my name. I'm not Runrock.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, this is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sitting Bull has that really, really great line about, do not fear death. And how it's always at our side, and when we show it fear, it jumps at us faster than light. I like that. And just how unwilling Jet is to, and I think after a bit he does accept it, especially when Spike all of a sudden appears on the Bebop right after,
right?
Anything. So,
yeah, and that character's inclusion and dialogue should provide enough of a sentiment to closure at the end of the finale, the last scene.
Mm-hmm.
Despite people wanting to argue, that it is more ambiguous. The way the end comes.
Do they still do that though? I know for a while initially, but I don't know.
You think less so? No.
I kind of wonder if more people have come to accept that Spike dies at the end. I mean, that whole bit with the credits and everything and seeing the star fade out,
right.
That should also highlight the Spike's to bed. I know when I first watched it and everything when I was in high school, I wrote some fan fiction, good old fan fiction of Spike living and whatnot.
He crawled to the nearest sewer hole and
totally.
And whatever.
Well, no, actually, I heard a couple of them. One of them in particular was just like a you could totally make it to like an episode where it's them just playing cards to decide who would get the next bounty. And then the winning hand after a night of gambling was just a pair. Pair, like, I don't know, like
twos,
sevens or something. Just like, nothing but a pair.
Not even just a high card.
Yeah, no high card.
Single high card.
No, there's at least a pair. But
yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't traverse, the internet looking for Cowboy Bebop debates or anything. I just kind of still felt there's a bit of an impression that there might be some of those people that are kind of holding out, that despite the commentary from Sitting Bull, which is again pretty clear, of what's to come.
Well, that and also just the way that Faye as well as Jet act once Spike leaves. Jet preoccupies himself by shining up a piece of the ship. just trying
a random piece of metal.
Just trying to keep his mind off of things.
Right.
And then Faye breaking down.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'll get into this because I imagine you're probably running thin on things you liked about these episodes.
Well, sort of. I think just as the discussion develops, maybe more stuff might sway me and so forth. So
Fair enough. Something I did want to bring up is the final little fight there between Spike and Vicious.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, Julio's dead.
Yep.
Spike has decided that he's going to do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I get it in the sense of, this is a way to protect Jet and Faye, because otherwise the Red Dragon Syndicate will keep on coming at them.
Yep.
I guess I should step back. I like the mirroring effect as well of basically Spike is echoing the same sort of sentiments that Asimov and his girlfriend, as Spike and Julia are doing from episode 1. They're kind of doing this. Oh, let's just run away. Let's just, where as opposed they're just get them away from Mars.
Yep.
As opposed to running away to there. I like that, and also that was my whole spiel of, hey, idiot, like, you need to be paying attention to the signs that life is throwing your way. Is throwing your way.
Right.
And this is where, with both Vicious and Spike, they mirror each other in how they are both obsessive and apathetic. Obsessive in, Vicious becomes apathetic in the sense of love because he loses Julia.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just in the sense of death, but also in the sense of Spike steals his girl kind of thing. Who knows exactly the full details on all that sort of fun jazz, but he loses Julia, so he becomes obsessive about his duty for his station in the syndicate. Spike, on the other hand, is obsessive over his love, and then becomes completely apathetic towards life / his duty / his station in life. And it's I like that mirroring, as well as showing that having the extremes of this obsession / apathy it'll lead you to your grave. And more importantly, you should not make that should not be your, I guess it could be argued since life is infinite in its choices kind of thing. It'd probably be best not to pin those sorts of things on another individual. Otherwise it will cost you. So that is the message I get out of that, especially this last time I was watching it. That's kind of what either finally conked me on the head or what have you.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's definitely that yin and yang type parallel, that they're moving in opposite directions, but have the same sort of mentalities, right? And the breaking point at this point, just they are those mirror reflections of each other. But they both are apathetic and are really finding a hard reason to continue to truly live. Now, we don't know about Vicious enough, perhaps, to know if there is something else going on for the character, and Spike's just too dumb to bother to recognize a lot of that, because he's so dead set on whatever it is, that the lack of drive just burns him out.
Well, I mean, I get it. It's also the traumatic experience of reuniting, all for it just be completely ripped out away from you within, hours, minutes. Who knows exactly how long?
Not maybe not even 12 hours. Kind of feels quite short.
Oh yeah. So, like, in one hand I get that. So there is that. quick flare of those kind of emotions and stuff. But yeah, I just, yeah.
Going back to your point, right? When Julia's saying, let's just run away, we can hide somewhere they'll never find us. The point you made earlier, right? Of Spike, without saying anything and just really thinking on it, yes, I think he has recognized that he probably does have some level of responsibility to protect Jet and Faye. I don't think they would go after Ed. Hey, I don't think that Ed's been around enough for the syndicate to really recognize or go after Ed. Do you think so? Or
I mean, they could have took one look and been like, "Oh, Ed's on Earth. Okay, have fun with that kid."
Yeah. And Ed would,
I mean,
digitally be able to cover the tracks up pretty well, I would assume. Inadvertently or intentionally. It's hard to say, but yeah. So I think that was a really good point. That I kind of thought about it, but I not until you said it did it really kind of hit home now, because I kind of lean more to the point of Spike just wanting to be rid of the syndicate more so for his own safety and Julia's safety.
Yeah, I think the thing that kind of leads it to that is that conversation that he and Jet have before he vamooses, as it were. When Jet's like, "I gotta ask one question. Is it for the girl?" And then he's like, "Well, no. Julia's dead."
Right.
And I like the little head rub that they kind of focus on with Jet, because he's like, that's when he I think accepts he's about to lose a friend.
Right.
And then that's also, I think, leading into him saying that, I think, is also his point of, I'm going to kind of get this away from you guys.
Right.
So.
And Jet not being in condition to do anything at this point with his leg.
Right.
Yep. Do you have any more preferable positives that you'd like to?
I think we've hit the big ones that I had there and everything. So
I guess it's Laughing Bull. Sorry, not Sitting Bull. As the character.
Oh, right.
I just realized that. I will say, some of the gray stuff is the introduction of Lynn for me.
Oh, you mean Shin?
Was it Shin or Lynn?
Lynn's the brother.
Sorry, Lynn's the brother. Yes, thank you, Shin.
Yeah,
it's just kind of a little bit shoehorned in there because, I don't know. I think this belongs very much in the gray, kind of indifferent. Like, just don't get enough to work with there. Character just kind of pops out of the blue. I can't remember. Does Lynn mention having a brother earlier?
No, and then
so it's just kind of a convenient.
Oh yeah, it's
addition.
It's that, and it's Spike's like, "Wait, what, Lynn?"
Right.
It's like, "Hey, no, I'm Lynn's brother." Shit.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Totally. I forgot.
You guys are both gonna have the same fate. So yeah, I don't know how you feel. It's just kind
same
of
fate, but different acts, right?
Yeah.
Lynn stays stuck in the quote unquote protecting the order while Shin is destroying it.
Right. Intentionally trying to destroy it, but receive the same fate.
Yeah, he's just kind of like whatever. Like it just is one of those conveniences that shrinks the world a little bit. In the same hand, if you try to just incorporate somebody else entirely, brand new, that's not somehow tangentially related in some way, people might have just been like, oh, whatever.
Yeah,
You could have just put anybody there. So
yeah, there's been no introduction to really, give you anything to hang your hat on or.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the only thing you could have possibly, but then it wouldn't have worked because they would have probably put an axe to him real quick. Would have had, maybe somebody related to Mao or like Annie or something.
Well, yeah,
like
if they
that.
didn't kill off Annie, perhaps, or something.
Uh,
that might have worked a little bit more, right?
Yeah. So
you didn't want. Or, I mean, we've been introduced to lots of other characters at some point that, I don't know, could have felt double-crossed by the Syndicate. Like, who is the guy? I mean, with Jet there, that episode, was he a mass murderer or whatever? Remember they were transporting all the prisoners?
Oh, Uday?
Uday, yeah. That there's somehow to make a relation there. Somehow, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, it's just kind of a little bit of a tough spot, but yeah.
A relation to Julia or something. I don't know.
Something.
Alfredo, gunslinger Alfredo.
Probably a middling thing for me, and I know you already brought it up, was the assault on the Red Dragon headquarters bit. Like I used to really like it, but it is slowly whittled down to like, okay. And the last time kind of watching it, I was just like, okay. I don't know if it's just because of knowing it or just because of watching it so much or whatnot, but yeah, I'm just kind of like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of rather short. It's not a particularly long sequence. It feels like it probably could have drawn out a little bit more to some degree. I mean, I do like a lot of the things Spike does, just some of the, putting that C4 on the escalator, and like, there's some cool ideas for sure there. It's just, it is quite limited though.
Right.
And Spike seems rather much like Ballad of Fallen Angels. He's kind of underprepared, I guess, to a degree. Like, yes, he has explosions or explosives and stuff, but he's just wielding handguns. Like, it's not like, maybe that's all he has accessible to him. But when he was at Julia, like, looked like there was some firepower there. Right. When he's loading the shotgun and stuff.
Yeah, you'd think
he would have bulked up like Commando. Alto! And he's and everything's exploding.
If only.
It's a pretty amazing scene. Like, wasn't there a parody of that somewhere where?
Oh, there had to have been.
There's like a million parodies of that, actually, but I do like in Predator as well when Jesse Ventura's got the minigun and there's that guy in the tree.
Oh,
and it just explodes. Like, he's just shooting with maybe a machine gun. The guy literally just goes up in flames. Like, it's just a massive explosion.
Everything had to explode.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the 80s, right? But yeah, so yeah, I agree. I think it's fine. Like, and maybe the first time seeing it is, well, maybe now it might feel kind of underwhelming as well, right? With animation kind of coming along and so forth. But
yeah, there's nothing too outlandish, at least, so I can appreciate it in that regard. Or it's not like
scaling a building like monkeys.
Well, that or just like OP, ridiculous, overdrawn. Like, I guess if there is something for me to appreciate out of this, it is that it's not like a super lengthy bit where it's like, okay, all right, it's like, it's pretty quick,
right?
Pretty concise. Heck, we had to even just have him running down the hall at the end.
Right.
Yeah. I guess the really big question is why the rooftop explode. I've never understood why that happens. Why is that triggered like that? What is
dramatic effect.
Seriously, like that is really the only thing I could think of.
Michael Bay got his hands on the last 10 frames of animation. We need another explosion.
Yeah, that is the one thing I've never really understood.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why would Vicious have this rigged to explode once somebody intrudes?
I mean, other than, as you said, just he's lost the will to live. Like, I don't know, like just to, yeah, I don't know, like finalize, if he's going down, he's going down in flames. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Like to just bring it all down, I guess, at that
Yeah.
point, I suppose. Only thing I can think of.
If I can't roll the red dragon, nobody will.
Yeah, that's really all I can think of. Go out with a bang. Which Spike does.
Oh, boy.
Well, he does. So, yeah, I'm just trying to think. I mean, the climactic fight doesn't quite have the same. I don't know. It doesn't hit you quite the same as, say, the one in Battle of Fallen Angels to degree for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not bad or anything. I wish there was a little bit more martial arts going on between those two characters, rather than just the gun and katana play, between them. And in the previous encounters as well. I feel like that's kind of their face-offs are just kind of limited by those, having these weapons in hand.
Right.
Like, it kind of brings it down a smidge, right? Like, I don't necessarily need something such as a Metal Gear Solid 4, knock down, drag them out. Well, that ending, right? It's just like
right.
Two old guys like on their knees slapping each other. So, but at least some, their weapons get dislodged, and then so now they're, hand-to-hand combat for, I don't know, 30 seconds or something, right? And before they get back to their weapons, or
at least I get satiated in the movie.
That's true.
So,
yeah. But it just kind of, it limits that interaction.
Right. Yeah. Because outside of what the Pierre Lefaux episode and Hard Luck Woman, where Spike is getting completely dunked on. There's not a lot of kind of even match stuff with the physicality.
Right.
It's either, the one time that it is even, it's not shown.
Right.
That I could think of with like episode 2.
Right.
And I think it's also because it is winking and nodding. It is an homage to.
Mm-hmm.
So
they had to really save that frame for that. What is his name? Hakeem.
Yeah.
Hakeem to punch that groom in the face.
I'm okay with that. That's totally fine.
Hey, you can't. It just knocks him right out. Doesn't even look at the guy.
Nope.
Doesn't even flinch.
Just bam. Need more of that.
Yeah, I wish there was a bit more there, and because they try to really imply in some of those flashbacks this, not only the camaraderie, but there's a bit of an even matching between the two of them. But do any of the flashbacks even show Vicious with his sword? It's all gunplay, isn't it?
I don't remember any sword. I just know him.
So it's interesting that anything that's in present day, the sword is very prevalent in his repertoire. But
yeah, there's got to be a reason for that. There's other than if he didn't, then Spike's kind of in trouble.
Well, yeah, just something.
Vicious had to sandbag himself.
Opposite ends, kind of trying to show the balance there between them. I guess I don't know. But.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not that I would have wanted Spike to, to now have a sword fight or anything like that. It would feel very out of place, but it already does feel out of place that Vicious is wielding a blade as it is.
Right.
Maybe like a short knife fight or something would have kind of made some sense, perhaps. But And at least that would have, as I said, kind of taken a bit more of a
You know,
grit to it.
the only thing I could think of, and it still would be kind of weird, is that because of being in that war on Titan,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it could have really soured his I don't know, I don't want to say appreciation, but just soured his attitude towards guns
Yep,
to
maybe.
some degree, or I'm spitballing here. Like, I
No,
really don't
it
have
could
a
well
good.
be, yeah. Like it's some kind of. I know you're not a Star Wars guy, but like when that Obi-Wan Kenobi kills that Grievous, right? And he's like, so uncivilized, and like because he had no choice but to use that blaster at one point instead of his lightsaber. So maybe this kind of it could be right that Vicious is sort of taking a man's life with a katana is so much more because he's so crazy. Like this is so much more satisfying, right? Like
a little more personal.
Yeah, it's just that personal touch.
A little bit more deliberate.
Yeah,
like a knife. You gotta get a little closer.
Yeah. So it could well be that, right? He is so unhinged now that he wants to see someone suffer, not just from bullets and being riddled and, it's a quick death, basically. So it could be that. Well, at least Spike didn't have the, what's it called? The From Russia with Love blade in his boot. He's got a chair. Put him against the wall.
Oh boy.
I gotta remember which Steven Seagal movie that is with the guy that has the switchblade that's under his foot and he has a bare foot. It is terrible. I have to find it. I'll find the fight scene out. It's so dumb. I think it's the same one where Steven Seagal's so lazy that he's fighting in a chair. Like he's sitting down and
I think you linked me that fight.
I think so. I think it might be I've watched so many of them that they are it's just in this vile blended pool of disgust and disappointment. I can't remember which movie it is.
Good Lord. Now, is there any more like middling or more?
I'll say I only one other that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Faye and Julia interaction.
Okay, yeah, that was gonna be what I was gonna touch on there.
I don't hate it, but it's really feels shoehorned. It feels abrupt. It's just kind of there's a point to it, but on the same token, I just feel like there might have been a better way of connecting another Bebop member to Julia, and this randomness of tell Spike and like how do you know I know Spike, and not really getting a clear indicator of that, or I don't know. It's just the action sequence is fine. Like it's like I said, it's a little silly, like that phase just gunning down these cars with ease, but it's fine otherwise, in line with other car chase scenes and so forth. So, but it doesn't really, for me, really move the narrative any more forward than even just a one-off line elsewhere could have done.
Yeah, I mean, it could have. I think the thing with that though is that it does give the other two, Faye and Jet, at least some idea of who Julia is.
I suppose.
That's because that's a couple times, like the one that I mentioned earlier, where Jet grabs Faye and is like, yeah, good, he's out of here. He's nothing but trouble.
Right.
He also, when he's getting his leg treated, what's that line? Like he's like, vicious Julia. Those names sound ominous, like a magic spell that opens an old door. It gives, Jet doesn't get the first-hand experience, but this kind of gives him more of that kind of tertiary. And these are just names that I'm hearing, not really the full details. Kind of thing. It's just he has to paint him in. Yeah, like just the whole thing with Faye and Julia is just kind of like I I'm not. I don't. I'm so like towards Julia.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like
Oh, don't worry. She's coming. We still have the negatives to get to. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. So like, the only, like, yeah. Well, okay. We'll get into that. But yeah, just the that interaction is just kind of like, okay. I get it. Outside of just some random message in the dark
Mm-hmm.
that they get, there's really this episode is just kind of whatever. So, or that scene is whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So to the bad.
Yeah.
Julia.
Yes.
Would you like to start this off?
Well, let's go back and forth with this. The very first point I want to make though is just the payoff of finally introducing Julia like proper, aside from those little bits of flashback and whatnot, is really poor. Like this, I this character is lifeless. Like there's nothing. It makes you really wonder. Obviously we're missing things here because what would Spike or Vicious really see in this character that's so particularly enamoring is a bit mind-boggling. And it probably doesn't help that we just don't get nearly enough time to understand anything about the character. Other than, Spike chasing this ghost, basically.
Well, this kind of pins back to what I would say is that obsession, right? This is, Spike continues to carry the torch of the obsession, and then Vicious has gone the apathetic route,
right,
towards her. Or maybe maybe there is the obsession, but it is being masked by an apathy. To me, this is like these people are supposed to be in their mid to late 20s, but they're acting like high schoolers.
Yeah.
Like, they're the only one for me, and I love them so much. And it's just like, I mean, this is, like, I get it. Like, this is, that appealed to me when I was watching this for the first time and stuff in high school and stuff. Like, I was I could totally understand it. Oh my goodness, you've lost the love of your life.
Right. And the lost time and those concepts for sure.
Yeah, and you're obsessing because of you've lost her and stuff. But this is my whole spiel with why Spike drives me absolutely batty. It's like yeah, okay, that ship has sailed. So now look what happens when you try to catch up to said ship. Like,
yeah. I really don't buy the relationship though, even, right? So you get the final scene of episode 25, and it's supposed to be a bit of a cliffhanger. And we're not even treated to tank for episode 26.
Nope.
Simply a title card and right into it. And just like the whole, when did they sort of embrace? Like Spike just kind of stands there. It's just, I think they're trying to, I don't know what they're going for here. Just the human emotion of just like he seems so uninterested. She seems really uninterested. Like her voice actor just doesn't carry any volume that really speaks to me to think, yes, this person is also, been chasing her ghost, which is Spike. It's just so empty.
I'd say muted at least. I don't know about empty, but it's very muted. But it also then makes me wonder what it was that made both of them so impassioned to be the like not to be crass, but is this like pickled the prick once and then like is this like one of those things where but like I'm really I'm having a hard time really conceptualizing this unless they are those types of guys who are just like, oh, this is the first woman I fell in love with, and this is obviously the best ride that I'm going to be a part of. Which, I mean, okay, all right, like, I don't know, like, it just, it's, yeah, you got me. Like, I mean, I get it, but in the same hand, at a certain point, I don't.
Yeah. I have no emotion when watching this scene where she's on the roof and just gets shot by a random thug, basically. And you're just kind of, I'm just like, I don't feel anything, right? You don't feel remorse, you don't feel sadness, nothing. You're just kind of, oh, that was abrupt. That's it. You're just kind of like, oh, okay. Well, that's like only halfway through the episode, not even, and she's dead. We got her on screen, in person for all of 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So it's just kind of, it's hard to really get into that relationship and feel for, them being separated, torn apart again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's far too much, it's the show don't tell, but when it's like, it's so masked, or just there's just so little in the way of breadcrumbs. You get the little memories, flashbacks, and stuff like that.
Not enough of them.
But it's also like, it doesn't help that you have an episode with a different character, or they two technically, because you get one with Jet and one with Faye, who have loves that fizzle out.
Right.
Faye's is much more. I don't know how to put Faye's. Faye's is more
comical, sort of.
Well, not just comical, but just more like innocent in a way.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, more innocent, but also very just kind of, I don't want to say flash in the pan, but in that sort of passionate sort of way. Whereas Jets is much more of a muted, but there's still a passion there, but that is like so disjointed. It's just because of how he is versus how she is. It just doesn't. It just doesn't jive in the long scheme of things.
Well, that one feels more real in a lot of ways for aligning with a lot of potential relationships. I mean, you could look at the Faye one probably to some degree if you kind of take out the comedic aspect of it, right? Of the guy, gaining weight and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, I'm not.
But just the sort of flash in the pan piece, you're right, or someone abusing one side of the relationship in some regard.
Naivete.
And Jets is much more that growing apart or the breakdown, like that's very real.
And either definitely on one side, or just poor communication. One side just not even wanting to try to fight for that, or maybe not seeing it as feasible. Maybe, but yeah, the one side seeing it as just not feasible because every time she would try to, oh well, no, he's got all the answers, kind of thing. But yeah, you have these two, and they're just one episodes. They're not spread out for a whole bunch, right? There's not a whole bunch of peppering of outside of No, not outside. No outsides. It's all inside. Yeah, but like Julia gets all these different instances of little whispers, whispers on the wind and stuff, and then this is what we're treated to. And
trick or treat.
Trick or treat, yes. A lot of treating. And much more tricking.
A lot more trickery.
Yeah. Well, treating us to nothing.
Yeah. You got a coal in your stocking.
Right. Yeah, it's just, yeah, and I think more than anything, you're supposed to, you feel for Spike, but I don't like Spike. And it's not like I am now like, rah, rah, yay, more sadness for Spike. It's more of just like, what was an initial shock for me first seeing it, like, oh crap. It's just kind of like, okay, all right. I mean, I get it. Faye and Jet didn't quite have the same sorts of trauma in that regard, but I just...
Well, just the whole lifestyle surrounding those relationships is very different as well.
Right.
So
yeah. Anything else in the negative or?
Yeah, again, like Vicious is, I could potentially pull that into the gray. I don't find Vicious all that compelling. Probably again, kind of being in a similar wavelength as Julia, right? Just not always the big bad character and this and that, but he's kind of empty. Like, we just don't get enough to know. Like, yes, we get in episodes 5 and then in 12 and 13. Probably, again, more so in 12 and 13, I feel, right? With seeing some of that backstory on within the wartime and whatnot. But, and I know, I don't feel like the intention here is for you to feel any sort of connection to Vicious. Like a lot of villains, they're always trying to like, oh, you should be able to empathize with them to some degree, like understand why they're a villain and so forth. I don't believe that's the intention here, but unfortunately that just also makes him rather dull, more or less a one-note character.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this kind of leads into the obsessive aspect. I mean, yeah, you get, he's doing the coup. Oh, and the coup failed, but he's not going to get his way. They're not going to kill him now. They're going to hold him.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
he dies rather quick too. Like, Spike takes literally one shot to kill him.
Right.
I mean, he skins his face with a bullet earlier, right? But just kind of grazes him. He gives Spike a couple of pretty good blows, right? Gets him in the leg and
just kind of guts him like a fish.
Yep.
So, yeah, I've always wanted to like Vicious a bit more, but like I said, there's not enough to like hang your cap on to. And I'm with you. I think the Jupiter Jazz episodes do a better job of kind of bringing him to life. Because you can see it echoed here in the Real Folk Blues Part 1 and 2, kind of similar. You get the internal politics of the syndicate. Instead of Lin, you now have Shin. So there's he does communicate with other people in the syndicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah. It is a bit of a play.
It's too bad one episode couldn't have been devoted to just Vicious, right? And seeing the aspect of his angle and the connection with Spike, and like Spike could have obviously still been involved in that episode. And
well, I think I think Jupiter Jazz is about the best. That's the best showing of that.
Sure, but
so. Anything else then you want to?
Look here quick. Not overtly. I think we've touched on a lot of the stuff, and I don't know if we were going to wrap a few things up here if we want to wait for the movie or even do a final one after that. Or
things we didn't really talk about that. Maybe we just hold it for the movie.
Sure.
Because I don't know where you're going with that, but yeah. So, yeah, no, I'm good on my end.
Okay, I'm pretty satisfied as well.
Okay. Well, we'll make this slightly difficult. There is no bounty.
There is no bounty.
The bounty is death.
Do you choose life or death?
Right. That is your reward for chasing the past.
Chasing Julia.
Chasing Julia. I guess you just throwing out a number. Go with the bounties on this.
Okay.
Yeah, well, A, we didn't talk about this, and B, there is no bounty listed.
No, for sure. So,
yeah. It sounds good. 26 million. 1 million for each episode. I still do enjoy these two episodes. I like how it does sort of the cyclical vibe where it leans back into how it felt, but still a bit different from the first two episodes. It's a similar vibe. The history doesn't repeat itself, but it does often rhyme.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rhyming going on, and I appreciate it for that. There's certainly some things that could have been better, like Julia, a little bit better going on with Vicious and the Syndicate. I think it's a little messy, but they certainly could have. It could have ended a lot worse, but I will say, as time has gone on, I didn't like it at first because, well, I wish Spike would have lived, kind of thing. And as time has moved on, I'm more like, I just, like it. The ending is what it is. Indifferent to. I prefer other episodes too. So that's what I'm going with. How about yourself?
Okay. I will take a shade off of your bounty. I will go with 25.
Okay.
Just to not quite match, because I feel very similar as you do. I was satisfied watching the two episodes. Like I really was. It was still to me a pretty solid conclusion. I do like that there's still loose ends, but the other stuff does kind of conclude and it's finalized, right? You don't have to add any more, despite lacking some of those elements that we've already brought up. And so, like I said, the action is still good. There's a nice variance in the action and the speed of the episodes. They're a good way to at least wrap it up. Would it have been nice to get a bit more knowledge of those two characters particularly and sort of how they arrived to this point? Yes, that would have been nice. I would have, of course, also loved to just get a bit more of Jet and Faye, like give them just a few more breadcrumbs to kind of get them full and, take them off the plate. But as a whole, yeah, they certainly could have done a lot worse. And for all the types of shows or whatever that everyone complains about not being satisfying enough, I feel like this does enough to get to the finish line.
Gotcha. So, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, I think that's a good point to shut it down.
Speaking of good points, let us know some of your good points that are, How I'm curious to know, since we were a little bit more tepid in this, how many more impassioned people may be about the ending
Mm-hmm.
episodes there. Um, yeah, because I mean that is the big thing that when the show was first airing and stuff, is like don't talk about the ending. That's like a big thing. Don't
Right.
just keep it in that more. So that's it. So thanks for listening. Please let us know, and yeah, see you, Space Cowboy.